welcome back to all my dear students and friends. I am Rabinshu Sharma, Assistant Professor in Department of Journalism and Mass Communication of Babu Banarsi Das University, Lucknow. So, today in this video, I will be talking about the history of radio. I hope you all must have remembered the things what I have discussed in my last video. In my last video, I have discussed about the advantages and disadvantages of radio. So this was that was an interesting topic. I hope you all must remember what are the topics that I have, what are the content that I have discussed in that video. So today in this video, I will be discussing about the history of radio in India and all in abroad. So before starting this history of radio in India, I would like to discuss few key points of the history. See, history is very you can say it's filled with the dates. It's filled with the names of the scientists who worked behind the technology. So if you see, it's very very boring. Content, but since it is the part of the syllabus, it is the subject in your semester part, so you have to study in an entertainment way. If you see it in a boring way, then it will be very difficult for you to read and understand and to remember and recall during the examination. So in here you have to just listen a story and try to remember all those things and relate those things in a way back to back in a timeline way. So I'll try to tell you the about the history in very good way, in a very easy way. So let's get started with the history. See, it was like before TV. See, when television came to the India, before television, radio was everything. If you see nowadays, there are very few people who listen to the radio. Very few people, but before the internet, before the radio, before the television, radio was everything. It was like in every small places, in everywhere. Radio was very important for everyone, because before the technology advancement, people were not having so much money to buy a television, so it's easy for all of them to buy a radio, and everyone loves that radio. If you talk about the small villages, everyone comes and sit around the radio set. One person is having a radio, and all the people of the radio of this village comes and sit around the radio, and they try to listen the important news and the content that is being delivered to the that place. So I would like to start with the very famous name of a person, that is James Clerk Maxwell. Like I would say, he was everything behind the radio. He worked on the various frequency, because he is like master of all things. He started the radio. He initiated the radio journey. Started the invention of the radio. James Clerk Maxwell. He worked on the various radio frequencies. Okay, so but later, after few years, what happened? He passed away, and after 8 years, what happened? Oliver Heaviside. In year 1887, Oliver Heaviside, he started working on the radio frequency. The research what that James Clerk Maxwell left during his life in research time. So Oliver, he started work on those notes what he left. So he worked on the radio frequency, and after that, what happened? Later, Heinrich Hertz took forward those research done by Oliver Heaviside, and what he did, he worked on the magnetic radio frequency. Radio frequency was a new research for him, so he worked on the magnetic radio frequency and took forward the research of the Oliver Heaviside. Mr. Heinrich Hertz, he did the same. He did these things. Then what happened? He got many success in those things in radio frequency, magnetic radio frequency. But later he passed away, and after that, what happened? They published his books, his that book, and that book contains all the research work done by him, Clerk Maxwell, and the other people. So there's in his memory, that book got published, and that book was everything for the research of the radio and to take the journey later to the forward to the about the invention of the radio. Then next, what happened? Scientist Jagdish Chandra Bose and the other scientists, they took interest. They those people read that book, and they all took interest for that book, and they did something new in the field of radio. Then later, what happened? Galileo Marconi, he did his research in the field of radio, and what happened? He did a small trial, and what he found, that waves were sent and received 2,000 kilometers at a distance of 2,000 kilometer distance, that the waves that can be received properly. Then army used those things, that waves by Galileo Marconi. Then what happened in 1920? Frank Conard got permission to start radio channel. Although this 1920, you can say it's again a turning point in the history of radio, because in history, it's 1920 was important year, you can say, because to start a radio channel was a new point here. Here, Frank Conrad got the permission to start a radio channel. Then what happened later? Private channels started, like you can say BBC, and the other. It's a very famous that BBC. So they started radio channels are private. So after 1920, when radio started in India, the first you can say phase in 1923, the Mumbai Radio Club, they started a program, and they broadcasted their first program. So for the first program, you can say 1923, but this was broadcasted by the Mumbai Radio Club. Then later in the year 1927, what happened? Mumbai and Kolkata, they have also prepared the program and broadcasted on. They took their programs on air, and after 3 years, after this 3 years of the 1927, that is 1930. Government took possession of these transmitters, because the people, they were doing individually, they were preparing radio stations and sending the waves all around back by taking the permissions from the government. And in the year 1930, what happened? Government took possession of these transmitters, and then in the then like that IBC, Indian Broadcasting Corporation, like they started the broadcasting. Government took the transmitters, and by IBC name, they started the broadcasting. In the year 1936, just 6 years later, when the government took possession, in the year 1936, All India Radio started. AIR, it's very famous keyword, AIR, we all know, All India Radio. In the year 1957, this name was also known as the Akashvani in the year 1957. Then later, what happened? Private channels, after the independence of the India, the private channels started, and the like it was things were like the government channels were getting less importance, and the private channels were getting more importance. It's not like audience. It's not like an audience, but audience preferred the content of the private channels more, and they like this. So it's like radio was not much big thing, but it's also not a small thing, because people are very much connected with their life. They are very much connected with their emotions. Radio is everything for them. Just there are few people who, when they get up early in the morning, they just tune to the radio and do their other household chores. So for radio, this was initially this, I just tried to tell you about the crisp of the radio, how it started in the year 1887 to this 1957. So let's take a look to a PowerPoint presentation. I hope you will get more things cleared with that PowerPoint presentation, with the few more dates, few more people who worked in the sector of the radio, who worked in the invention of the radio, and how radio took various turns in the years and now. So let's have a look to the PowerPoint presentation. This history of radio in India. So I would start with this, just with 1923. I have told you about what happened in the year 1887. So I'll start with the 1923 with the Radio Club. I'll just take to the gist of these years and what happened in the particular year, what happened with the particular year and place, location. Things will be like this. So 1923, it's just a humble beginning of the Radio Club. That's in the Radio Club of Bombay. I think I've already took the name Radio Club in my small gist that I have told you right now. So in the year 1926, 3 years later, IBC Indian Broadcasting Corporation, its private company, given permission to set up two radio station. And this Indian IBC Indian Broadcasting Company, its private company, given permission to set up two radio station. In July 23rd July 1927, that's Bombay station set up, and in the August 26, 1927, Calcutta station, and followed by this Bombay. So these two stations got the permission to broadcast the programs, and they can create, they can do the production, post production, and they can go on air with these programs. Only 3,000 licensed radio owners then. At that time, there were only three. After two these set up, after 1926, 1927, Bombay and the Calcutta station set up. Only 300 licensed radio owners were there. In the year 1930, IBC liquidated, and then a bankruptcy took place there. And in the year 1930, April 1930, government took over and formed Indian State Broadcasting Service. That is ISBS, Indian State Broadcasting Service. Again, this dates and the keywords are very important for the examination purpose. You have to mention the dates and the what happened, important event happened. You have to mention those things. Then 2 years later, after 1930, in the year 1932, government started BBC in India, that is British Broadcasting Corporation. Government started in the year 1932. Government took the charge of those two transmitters of Calcutta and the Mumbai, and they started this BBC in India. In 1932, to supplement the earning of Indian State Broadcasting Services, that is ISBS, the Indian Tariff, the Wireless Broadcasting Act, was amended. Again, a new change point at this point. After in the year 1982, that Indian Tariff Wireless Act was amended, leading to a sharp increase in the duty of wireless receiving set. The possession of the radio sets without a license was made an offense. Because what happened, many people, they started setting up radio stations. So government took some strict measures to control these things. So they took Indian tariff on the broadcasting things, to the wireless receivers, mics, and the other things. So they took possession of the radio sets, and without license, if somebody found running those, then it will be an offense, and it would be charged, booked under this section act. Then Lionel Ferdinand sent to India, and Zulfikar Ali Bukhari talks on the widow remarriage. Again, an important point. So he talks about the widow marriage and remarriage and untouchability and soundtracks tours. Communal radios were set up later. Timers put in. Number of license set up climbed to 1 lakh. So from this, I have discussed 3,000 to, we can say, 1 lakh. This was a transition. I have discussed right now 3,000 licensed transmitters over there after the Calcutta and the Bombay transmitters. Then later what happened, 1 lakh licensed was climbed after that. German broadcaster Dr. Faruqi beamed his short-wave newscast directly into the India. Indians readily listened to his anti-British talks. In the year 1935, March 1935, Office of Controller of Broadcasting, created under the Department of Industries and Labour of Government. Then after, because this was very much needed at that time, so they took this step and created this area. Important thing. In the year August 1935, Mr. Lionel Ferdinand assumed charge as the first controller of broadcasting. Again, it's a very important name, Mr. Lionel Ferdinand. He took the charge, he assumed the charge of the first controller of broadcasting. Then in January 1936, Delhi radio station was opened. Again, Delhi is the capital of the country India, and that was an important location to, and indeed there was a requirement of the radio station to be set up open. So, and in 8th June 1936, the ISBS was renamed to All India Radio, that is AIR. This name is like AIR, Air, All India Radio. In year 1937, AIR was transferred from Ministry of Labour and Industries to the Department of Communication. Again, in 1937, it's an important date. Many times it happens, question comes in 1 marks or 2 marks, in which year Ministry of Labour and Industries of the Department of the Communication was formed. So in the 1937, AIR transferred the Ministry of Labour and Industries to the Department of Communication. Then in 1938, Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore composed the following poem entitled Akashvani on the inauguration of the Calcutta short-wave transmission. This was the poem. This was written by the Rabindranath Tagore. Hark to Akashvani, up surging from here below. The earth is bathed in the heaven's glory. Its purple glow across the blue expanse is firmly planted. The altar of the muse, the lyre unheard of light is throbbing with human use. From earth to heaven, distance conquered, in wave of light flows the music of man's divining. Fancies fly to east and west, speech career. Swift as the sun, the mind of the man reaches heaven confines, its freedom won. Then, so this was a very famous poem written by the Rabindranath Tagore and, during the inauguration of the Calcutta station setup. In the later, in September 1939, news bulletins were centralized in all languages at New Delhi. And later, on the 1st October 1939, external service started and directed to Afghanistan, Iran, and Arab countries in Pashto to counter radio propaganda from Germany. At that time, these things were very important for them to create the propaganda from Germany. In 1939, controller broadcasting Lionel Fedlin was succeeded by Professor A.S. Bokhari, who remained the head of All India Radio for 6 crucial years. So these were the two important names, Lionel Fedlin and the A.S. Bukhari. These things happened later 6 crucial years. In 1943, the designation controller of broadcasting was changed to DG, that is a Director General. This thing was changed in the year 1930, controller of broadcasting to DG, that is Director General. He was Mr. A.S. Bukhari. In the year 1939, in addition to the existing medium wave transmitters, short wave transmitter had also been installed at New Delhi. That time that was Delhi, Bombay, Calcutta, and Madras. New stations with medium wave transmitters were opened at Lucknow, it's a city capital of the Uttar Pradesh, and Tiruchirappalli. These were the two cities where new transmitters with medium wave were set up at that time. But in Delhi, Bombay, Calcutta, Madras, existing waves were medium wave transmitter and the short wave transmitters both were stopped. Coming to the year 1941, in the year 1941, All India Radio was again transferred to the Department of Information and Broadcasting, which after independence in 1947 became a separate ministry by itself. So here once again this was earlier it was transmitted from that labor department to the Ministry of Communication, and now in the year again in the 1941, like 6 years before the independence, this was transferred to the Department of Information and Broadcasting from the Department of Communication. So it was transferred to Department of Information and Broadcasting, which later in the year after the independence, that is after the 1947, became separate ministry by itself, and it was known as the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. Earlier this was the small department, and after the post independence it was the different section, that is and this comes under the different ministry, that is Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. Then BBC steps in, Fielding and Bukhari reorganize BBC broadcasts to suit Indian sensibility. Things were like they have to think with the people Indian sensitivity. So Fielding and Bukhari they reorganizes the BBC broadcast, the content and the other things to suit the people of the Indian citizens. In the year 1940, shows for the Indian troops, WW2, that's World War II, around the corner. In 1940, Bokhari began broadcasting a daily 10-minute Hindustani news commentary. That is very important for the people, and they started. People started took interest in the radio because they get the programs in the Gujarati, they get the programs in Marathi, they get the programs in Bengali, Pashto, Sindhi, Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, and the others like regional languages. This was the idea of Bukhari to start the broadcasting a 10-minute daily, not more than 10 minutes, but that's a 10-minute daily Hindustani news commentary, that is Indian news commentary. And the people in India are from various states, so he planned as per the regional language of the people, the local language. He started with this language. Okay. When Japan joined World War II in 1941, thus began AIR, that is All India Radio, Burmese, Chinese, Japanese, Thais, Malay, and Indo-Chinese language broadcast. So this was again a new thing. The Japan joined after joined World War II in 1941. Thus began AIR, that is All India Radio, Burmese, Chinese, Japanese. Again, various country languages. They made programs there broadcast. Today, if you talk about it today, like All India Radio broadcast in 16 foreign languages. It's not only All India Radio, name is All India Radio, so it's not only deal with the Indian, they also deal with the foreign languages also, and right now they're dealing with the 16 languages. In the year 1947, that is the year of independence, total number of radio sets at that time was 2,75,000. So just imagine in the year 1947, around the Independence year, 2,75,000. That is around 3 lakh radio sets were available. This was image of the post partition. At that time, that time of independence, 9 All India radio stations, like including Peshawar, Lahore, Dhaka, were there. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was the first minister of information and broadcasting in India. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, again important name, and many times it happens that question comes in the 1 mark question: who was the first information broadcasting minister in independence in India? So you can write Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was the first minister of information broadcasting in independent India. Then All India radio station in Delhi, Madras, Bombay, Calcutta, Tiruchirappalli. There are important cities. The stations set up. Bahujan Hitay and Bahujan Sukhai. This was a very famous quote for the many benefit of the people and the happiness of the people. This aims that the content of the program that deals with the favor of the so many people and gives the benefit of to the many people. So that is Bahujan Hitay, Bahujan Sukhai. This was a title that was used by the All India Radio to work for the benefit of the people and to make the programs in the favor of the people. Emphasis on the disseminating information, education, music, and the drama. As I've already discussed in my last lecture, the role of the media, role of the radio was to give the three important things, that it was information, education, and entertainment. So though they have given the emphasis at that time to disseminate the information to the people via radio, to educate the people, to entertain by the music and by the drama, docudrama on the radio, that they could possible in the ever to be. In the year 1952, Vadya Vrinda or National Orchestra with Pandit Ravi Shankar as the first music conductor. In the 50s, in the year 1950s, Minister of Information and Broadcasting and Dr. B.V. Kesar put a ban on broadcast of Hindi film song on AIR. So, due to some reasons, Minister of Information and Broadcasting, Dr. B.B. Kesar, he put a ban on the broadcast of the Hindi film songs. Many publishers made some objections on these things, but later this was removed. Radio Ceylon become immensely popular. Radio Ceylon, Binaka, Geetmala, and Yamini Saini. In the year 1957, Vivid Bharati started, again a changing point in the just 10 years later after the All India Radio setup. After 10 years of the independence in 1947, India got independence, and in the year 1957, 10 years later, Vivid Bharati set up. When we talk about the Vivid Bharati, this one word comes to our mind, Vivid Bharati. Few famous programs that come to our mind, that is Sangeet Sarita, Hawa Mahal, like Jaimala, Bhule Bisre Geet, Inse Miliye, like Chahate Gitare, Chahe Gitare, बायोस्कोप की बातें, सरगम के सितारे, सेल्यूलॉइड के सितारे, सेहतनामा, that deals with the health. It is already clear with the name. Hello Farmaish, like it's like a public request. You have to request the program. See, these were the names of the programs which are planned on the Vivid Bharati program. The program, the content of the program is very much clear with these names of the program, like Sangeet Sitara. This deals with the music. Sehatnama. This deals with the health of the person, health program. It tells about the what to eat, how to eat, and what are the benefits of the food that you can take for your body. Hello Farmaish, you can call, you can send a letter to the AIR and Vivid Bharati, and you can listen to programs of your choice. So these are the programs, famous programs. Later they have added more programs in the list, Vivid Bharati. So emphasis shifted to entertainment in the year 1957. From information and education, this emphasis shifted to the entertainment. Vivid Bharati extended to medium wave, which meant more listenership. If they have expanded to the medium wave, they could expand the kilometers, they could expand the region area of their transmission. In the year 1956, All India Radio officially called Akashvani. Akashvani. Officially, they have changed the name to Akashvani. In the year 1959, satellite television introduces, which later separated to form Doordarshan. All India Radio, the Akashvani, the satellite television introduces Doordarshan, which later separated to form Doordarshan. So this name was given to Doordarshan, but initially they have said it's a satellite television, and then later it was known as Doordarshan. In 1957, rural radio forums set up by the peoples, arrival of transistor, low cost and mobile phones also you can access. In the year 1964, Indira Gandhi became the Minister of the Information and Broadcasting. So in this was again important date, 1964. Indira Gandhi becomes Minister of Information and Broadcasting. Then later Chanda Committee set up. Chanda Committee. This was a committee which was headed by A.K. Chanda, former controller and Auditor General of India. What happened in the Chanda Committee, which was headed by the A.K. Chandra, former Comptroller and Auditor General of India, convert All India Radio into a corporation run by a board of directors like BBC. Second thing, what they have done, they have separate radio from the TV industry, and then they have commercialized Vivid Bharati so that they could generate some revenue, because listenership was increasing day by day, and they have to set up the transmitter the various places, and they were hiring people to make the content more good, to make programs content rich. So they cannot so for the fund they started the commercialization for the ads, private ads, so that they can generate some revenue and give some us more quality. In 1967, Vivid Bharati was commercialized. In 1976, All India Radio and Doordarshan were separated. Okay, and Prasar Bharati Act came. Prasar Bharati Bill was passed by Parliament in 1990, but subsequent governments did not finalize it. Act implemented in September 1997, but things were not going smoothly. Broadcasting Corporation of India with two distinct bodies, Akashvani and Doordarshan, was the thing. Functioned as a corporate with board of directors headed by chairman and director general for both the AIR and the All India Radio. So that DG system was given to the both the DD and AIR. Earlier DG was there only for the AIR. Then when later DD set up, then DG for the DD was also. Member of Ministry and Information Broadcasting, part of board, again the part of the IMB. Functions of this act was subject to the provision of this act. It shall be primarily duty of the corporation to organize and conduct public broadcasting services, to inform, to educate, and to entertain by the music and the drama the public, and to ensure the balanced development of the broadcasting on the radio and as well as on the television. Because at that time, what happened, television was not available to the people, every people's house. It was like there is only one television set in the some colony, and what happened, and every Sunday people come and sit to those television set. All the people of that society come and watch this TV. But radio was available easily to everyone. So they took a balance, and the function of this act was important, that to maintain the balance between the television and the radio, and they should part the information, education, and entertainment to the public in a balanced way. This was the duty of the corporation. And again, this free and objective broadcast to of all the matters of the public interest, national or international, and presenting a fair and balanced flow of information, including contrasting views without advocating any opinion or ideology of its own. Second, paying special attention to the fields of education and spread of literacy, agriculture, rural development, environment, health, family welfare, as well as the science and the technology. These whole 545 words are very important, like literacy, agriculture, rural development, environment, health, and family welfare, science, technology. These things are the very important for the development of a particular person. And if this thing could be done by the radio, then again it's a very important part. And the radio and TV both can do they both can play a very important role in booming these new fields. Third one is providing adequate coverage to the diverse cultures and languages of the various regions of country by broadcasting appropriate programs. And because this was also very again important, people in India live of the various languages and the various cultures, so adequate coverage of the to the diverse cultures and the various regions is very important. Fourth point, providing adequate coverage to sports and games, so that so as to ensure the health competition and spirit of sportsmanship. This was again an important thing for the physical activity and the spirit of the sportsmanship. Sports and games should be encouraged. So for that, they have to prepare the programs, providing appropriate programs, keeping in view the special needs of the youth, because people believe that today's youth is the tomorrow's country structure. So, in the keeping in the mind of the youth, they prepare the programs, making specific programs for and about the women, tribals, children, handicapped, aged, vulnerable sections of the society. So they were planning programs by targeting the small niche of the society segment, promoting social justice and combating exploitation, inequality, and such evils as untouchability, and advancing the welfare of the weaker section of the society. Again, this is very important to promote social justice. At that time, things were people were not educated much, and things were like anyone can do anything. So, to promote the social justice and to fight with the exploitation, inequality, and such as evils, untouchability, and advancing the welfare of the weaker section. These things were a lot in those era. So to promote all these things, this was the important point in this. Then 8 point, promoting national integration by broadcasting in a manner that facilitates communication. Uh, Promoting national integration by broadcasting in a manner that facilitates communication in the field in India, and facilitating the distribution of regional broadcasting services in every state in the language of that state. 9 point, providing comprehensive broadcast corporation coverage through the choice of appropriate technology and the best utilization of the broadcast frequency available, and ensuring high quality reception. It's not there people they are just transmitting, but the reception quality is very weak. That will ensure both the transmission quality and the high quality of the reception. Next, last, promoting research and the development activities in order to ensure the radio and television broadcast technology are constantly updated. This research and the development activity, this keeps on going. Every time this keeps on going. If this thing stops, then you can say like no new things could be shown to us, no new thing could be accessed by the people. So research and development promotion is very much required in those. So the activities in order to ensure the television and broadcasting technology is constantly they have updated. Next, coming to the FM wave, the full form of FM wave is frequency modulation. FM wave. FM wave in the year 1995, All India Radio decided to open FM stations to private players, part of the Indian radio. Then we towards the first phase in the 1999, second phase 2006, third phase in the year 2010. In phase one, and exact is 1999, auctioning of FM bands to private stations began. 21 stations commissioned across 12 cities, including Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Kolkata, Chennai, Lucknow, and Jaipur. 108 radio frequencies put up by the government across 40 cities. Stations to pay OTEF for 10 years. Licenses for community radios were also given. I have prepared one different section of the video that was based on the community radio. Please you can watch that video. Uh, then Radio Mirchi, amongst the first private FM station set up by the Times Group. India's first private FM station came up in Bangalore. Learning from the phase one, the strict government policies, unviable high license fees, and lower advertisement flow led by companies to leave the FM radio industry after the initial euphoria in 1999. Fewer than 3% of the Indian ad spend goes to the radio. When 108 frequencies across 40 cities were auctioned in May 2000, the bids went through the roof as the loopholes in the tender document allowed people to make bids without any significant obligation to fulfill their promise. The exorbitant bid amounts, the high annual license fees resulted in only 21 stations, getting off the ground across the 12 cities in phase 1. So then in phase 2, 338 frequencies for radio stations in 91 cities were on block. The government award 280 licenses for the total sum of $205 million. Sun, AdLab, HT Music, and ENIL emerged as a leader with nationwide footprints. Government introduces new revenue sharing model. In the year 2006, in the 1999, the government opened the industry to private companies while they established themselves in the India's major cities. They could build to profitable business because of the high license fee structure. The government then changed the fee structure to make FM radio a more viable business, and it authorized the setup of the FM radio in 91 cities across the country in phase 2 rollout. As the result, the companies ranging from the obvious media ones to unlikely real estate firms bid and won phase 2 licenses. Phase 2 radio revived. Phase 2, this bidding process attracted the greater interest compared with the first phase in the year 1999. Phase 1 participants such as New Delhi based New Living Media India Limited and Mumbai based firm Midday Multimedia Limited popularized FM in large metro cities and paved the way for phase 2. The government had put total 338 frequencies in 91 cities on the block as a part of phase 2 compared to 21 license currently operational allotted in the first phase in 1999, and all the 91 cities were classified in A plus, that is A B C D categories. The FM radio companies bidding for these license won 280 out of these 338 frequencies offered for the sum of total $205 million, that is rupees 907 crores for one time entry fee, that is OTEF. There were no taker for the remaining 60 frequencies. The government is expected to get $51.3 million, that is rupees 227 crore, for more from the migration fee, also from the existing players to shift their 21 licenses of first phase into phase 2. A total of 85 private players, not only media companies but also some real estate developers, were shortlisted for bidding based on the pre-qualifications bids invited in September 2005 by the Information and Broadcasting Ministry. Then later, after all the 5 rounds of the bidding, South India's television network, that is Sun Group, it's very famous group, Sun Group, bidding through its two companies, Kal Radio Limited and South Asia FM Private Limited, has managed to win total 67 frequencies. It already has 4 operating stations, taking the total tally to 71. It, however, had to give up good numbers of these frequencies due to maximum 15% restriction. Government norms stipulate that no individual company should own more than 15% of the total radio station. That works out to no more than 45 radio stations. Similarly, AdLab Films, a part of that AD group formed by Anil Ambani, who broke away from the largest private Indian company Reliance Industries, had to surrender some of their 56 stations license, one following the phase 2 award. Then later phase 3 happened, this yet to take off. Government was expecting to take up the third phase of expansion in 2010 that time. However, it has been delayed. Government expected to bid for more over 700 new stations for most of which in smaller towns. The third phase should see the government allowing broadcasting of news, albeit it is sourced from AIR or DD. Government to allow increase in FDI from 20 to 26%. It is also likely to see relaxation in the 15% limit on the number of channels as entity can own in the case of Jammu and Kashmir and the Northeast. So after all this, can you name some private FM station? Yeah, like it's Radio City 91.1, it's famous frequency. Big FM again 92.7. FM Red FM, that is 93.5. Radio 1 94.3. Hit FM 95. Radio Mirchi 98.3. Fever 90, 104. 104 fever and FM. So these were the few radio private channels who were working, and so you must learn these names. This could be asked in 1 marks question or in the short answer type. So this some private music channels are there. So thank you for watching this video. This was quite a lengthy video. I hope you have got all the about the idea of the history of the radio, how this radio was started, and how the government took, how many changes happened, how political things got involved in the radio transmitters, channels, and the various things that I have discussed in this video. I hope you have enjoyed this video and you have liked this video. Please share, like, subscribe if you love this video, and still you have any question, then you can ask the questions by writing your comment in the below section, comment section. And please learn for this radio. So don't take it as a boring subject, because history is a boring for every subject. For many people who think the topic history, when the word history comes, then the date comes and the name of the scientist comes. So don't take it as a burden, just enjoy the subject and this topic, and have a look to this video once again. Thank you for watching this video. This was Rabinshu Sharma.